Hey, so for the first time ever, today I am talking to a title company executive. Welcome to the show, Dru Wischhover. He is the CEO of Inspired Title Group, and he's built his company on giving back to the community. So we go into a little bit about that. We do a lot about cybercrime and some of the things that he's seeing and what real estate agents and brokers can spot early in the transaction. Especially given the new AI based scams that are out there. So enjoy the podcast. And thank you to HomeBot for sponsoring the Real Trending podcast. Dru, welcome to the Real Trending podcast.
Well, thank you for having me, Tracy. I'm really looking forward to today's episode.
Yeah, so you're my first title person on the podcast.
Shocking.
We haven't really covered title before, but I thought it might be interesting to the people who listen. We have real estate agents and brokers, so we're going to focus on that side of title and things that they can do. And you've said before that title isn't exactly the sexy part of real estate. So take us back to the beginning and what pulled you into title in the first place? And when did you realize that you could really build impact in this corner of the industry?
Absolutely, and you're right. I mean, this is not something that you wake up one day and say, "Hey, you know what I want to do is I want to be a title guy." Like, you go to these networking events, and you're just a title guy. You're standing there in the corner. So, I think it's something for me that it was the curiosity. And my dad is a real estate attorney, or was a real estate attorney.
Mhm.
He just recently retired, and he had a partner that was diagnosed with cancer, and I was always in the financial space. I did a lot of the, working for brokers, setting up broker dealers and arbitration and things. And when I saw the need that my dad had as a partner in the title company, when his partner came down with this illness, I said, you know what? I'm going to bow out of this. This was right around the time the market was going to crash. So I kind of was, doing some forward thinking and said, this is not going to go well. So I jumped in to help my dad out. And, once you get into this industry, it's kind of one of those things that, you don't ever leave. But
Mhm.
what was crazy for me was the competition and trying to, connect it and relate it with some of the other things that, I've done in my professional space.
Mhm.
So it was just really come down to the differentiator. And,
Okay.
how are you different than Fidelity? How are you different
Mhm.
than First American and all the other big guys? We're underwritten by those guys. So we're definitely agents of them. But
Mhm.
the differentiator for me was this giving back piece. And that's where I was
Mhm.
able to, really kind of separate myself in a sense of being a smaller boutique title company, family owned, and having the ability to say, after, with as part of every deal that we close, we donate a portion of our proceeds to charity. And I'm actually getting ready to launch in 26 my not for profit that we're going to be funding. So it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking
Okay.
forward to it. So it's given me that ability to utilize that for
Mhm.
the better.
Yeah, and I know a lot of real estate companies that do that as well. Give a portion of the commissions to different charities and stuff. So walk us through the inspired way. It's what you were just talking about. And how does that philosophy actually show up inside of a real estate transaction?
So for me and for the my team here, we are about community, and we're about giving back, and we're about making a difference, and we're about protecting the parties of a transaction and things. So we've kind of fit this into a little bit of a mission statement for us. We want to communicate to our clients and to the customers that are an extension of you guys. We take responsibility for when things go sideways. We don't point fingers. We're problem solvers. We are also creative thinkers. So being a smaller company, we have some luxuries at our hand to take some different chances and risk. And so when we are actually looking at things as a whole, it doesn't have to perfectly fit in a box.
Hmm.
So, we definitely are about the community. We're taking responsibility and going out of our way to go above and beyond, and then we give back. Those are the three parts of what the Inspired Way is really made from, and those are the missions that we kind of carry forward.
Okay, great. And then you've saved a lot of deals by title insurance in some wild scenarios. So, stolen identities, hidden divorce settlements. What's one story that really sticks with you, and what can real estate agents and brokers learn from it?
And I think, that we are in an industry where, we're highly targeted for fraud because if you
Hmm.
think about it, we're, if not the only business, we are one of the businesses that is transacting a lot of money throughout the
Hmm.
course of a day. I mean, you do two or three deals a day. That could be millions of dollars that is moving and changing hands. So we are definitely highly targeted in this sense. So we've had just recently we had a fraudulent situation where there was a deceased party who deeded his property to a buyer,
Hmm.
and that whole transaction was fraud because the buyer fraudulently created that deed, making it look like the deceased individual transferred it
Hmm.
to him, his LLC, and then he wound up trying to sell that property to another,
Hmm.
investor. And through our title search and through our, protective measures that we do here, we were able to, step in and say, hey, this doesn't look right. Like if the deed was prepared by um, a staffing company, and there
Hmm.
was, it was a warranty deed, but there was no stamps or any kind of monies that was going to be transacted. And I'm going, this just doesn't look right. So we were able to step in and intervene, and that was able to kind of stop this thing from happening, and defrauding an ultimate end buyer here. So, you ask what can people do to really help with this stuff? I think
Hmm.
communication is a really big part of this, because having more conversations. When you're in a conversation where somebody's going, hurry up, we got to get this deal done fast, those are the ones I kind of slow down on, because they want to get
Hmm.
them done fast because there's a reason. It's not because the sellers have the moving truck ready to go. It's because the fraud is going to catch up to them quick. So we need to hurry up and consummate this transaction. So, there is no fraud, or I'm not part of it anymore. So,
Hmm.
trust the people that you're working with, the partners that you have in the industry, and know what they're doing, and maybe be on their team versus going, why aren't you guys moving fast enough to get this along, done? Because a
Hmm.
person that's going to commit fraud doesn't kind of enter into the transaction and say, hi, I'm here to commit fraud and I'm going to steal your house. They look like every normal person, and the wire fraud is a big thing. Make sure
Hmm.
that you are confirming wire instructions with whomever is passing those along.
Hmm.
Even if, we've even gotten to a point where somebody is selling their property, we'll send a letter to that house and say, hey, we just got this title order. Are you guys really selling your property? Because it just doesn't seem right. That
Hmm.
has also stopped the transaction from happening. So it's just some little things, but the big thing is the communication, and also building a rapport with your title team and partner, because that's what we've tried to do. Is everybody we work with, we try to bring them into our circle of relationship, so we build a rapport.
So title is one of those things that generally clients don't shop around for.
Right.
They, I mean, they can if they want
Hmm.
to, but they tend not to. And I'm sure that you've built quite a few relationships with agents and brokers. What from a brokerage or an agent standpoint, what should they know about working with a title company, or what are some things that you see happen, that maybe some mistakes or some better ways to build the relationship? What are you seeing out there?
From a broker standpoint, I think a lot of it is, the brokers are the first touch point typically with the client. Maybe they got pre-approved, so they started with
Mhm.
a lender, but really the biggest time spent is with the brokers, to seeing the homes, and developing a little bit more of a relationship with the type of home they're looking for. So I think it's really important to know the questions to ask your buyers or sellers, and
Mhm.
and those questions, you know when we find things, they always come back and say, oh, I didn't know about that, or that's surprising.
Mhm.
I think it's important to make them feel comfortable, so they can be honest with you guys, so we know the truth. It's kind of like going to the doctor and telling them that you don't
Mhm.
have something wrong, but they're going to do blood tests and they're going to find out what that is, or you're doing illegal things, and
Mhm.
we're going to find out. So just tell us, and it'll make it easier, because we want to help you fix it. We want to get this thing to the end. We're not in the business of being obstructionists where we want to get in the way. So I think that one of the things that I hear a lot in the business is that, all title companies are the same. It's like, just work with these guys. Don't worry about it. Title is title is title. Somebody said to me one time in this business that you don't need title insurance until you need title insurance.
Mhm.
And it really is just that. You hope you never need it, but man, you are so thankful that you have it. And really a simple explanation for this is it's not like any other insurance that you ever bought. Think
Mhm.
about, health insurance, car insurance. It covers you from today, everything that might happen going forward. If you get
Mhm.
sick, if you get in a car accident. Title insurance is one time, you pay it at closing, it's done, and it says everything that has happened on this property since the beginning of time till now, and
Mhm.
rightfully giving you that ownership is perfectly been done, and you are the rightful owner. There are no questions and there are no problems. So I think understanding that piece is big because you're buying two, three, $400,000 houses, even more. The percentage, the cost for title insurance for that, I mean, it's maybe 1%. I
Mhm.
mean, it's crazy. And you never have to pay it again. But I'll tell you, if a fraud happens, if somebody, comes out of the woodwork and says, I own this house because of a divorce that happened 20 years ago, you're going to be protected. Your legal fees are going to be covered, and things like this that you don't think of, that you could be, on the hook for a lot of money. So all companies are not the same. Title companies, title insurance is not just another fee. I mean, there's a value to all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk cyber, with the advent of AI, and I mean, we know about wire fraud. There's a lot of scams that have been going on for a while. Have
Hmm.
you seen anything new related to AI that you're running into right now?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a really great question. And I was, kind of given this a little bit of a thought as we, before we kind of, did this today. And I think that the introduction of AI has allowed more falsification for IDs.
Hmm.
The ID thing is the thing that we've seen a lot because
Hmm.
they can make you look like you. But if you're never there, if you never see them, meet them, you just talk to them, you don't know.
Hmm.
So definitely AI has played a strong run in the space of capturing the identity of people and misrepresenting who that is. Um, the phishing scams have just gotten so much better, through
Hmm.
the fake emails. Everything looks like it's coming from the source that you've been dealing with. It's incredible
Hmm.
how alike these things are, and I'm just mystified by the craziness of this. So I think it's really important that we educate our clients up front. It's too late at the closing table. At that time, they want to close and give me the keys. I
Right.
think updating them at the onset and explaining them kind of the process and really
Hmm.
what the expectations are, and then really using some of these secured encrypted portals that you can send messages through, wire instructions through. Um, and what we do is we do twice a year what I like to call like a fire drill, where if something were to happen, we kind of go through the steps and
Hmm.
in repetition of, all right, who does what and where do we go to try to mitigate some of the loss, if any, because to be in this business and say, oh, it's never going to happen, you're fooling yourself. It's just when. And you want to kind of minimize that risk. And we have, as a title company, we have insurances in place that if this
Hmm.
does happen, that we are protected and covered. So it's not like, all right, yes, that happened, that was a loss, but there's nothing worse than a buyer losing their monies because it went overseas,
Hmm.
and now they're kind of going, I didn't know, not only did I not get the house, I also lost the money. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
tragic. So I definitely think it's important to inspire your team to really understand and educate the people that you're working with as well.
Yeah, I've noticed them just working for a real estate publisher that I get stuff like sent to
Mm,
me where they want me to download documents or,
sure.
from title and from lenders as well. I think that's interesting. There's also the new one where they just put, "Hi, Tracy, it's Jessica. How
Mm,
are you?"
yep.
And
Literally
then you're
nothing.
supposed to answer back like, "Who is this?" And I
Right.
just delete them. But
Now
yeah,
they've got you right. They've got
yeah,
your keystrokes. They're following,
hmm,
what what you're following. It's insane how,
yeah.
into our lives they are.
I know. So when a real estate scam hits, before it comes to you, what are some signs that real estate agents can look for and, to spot this early on?
Yeah, and timing is really critical in these instances because, you know, you're especially if you're dealing with a wire. I mean, holy cow!
Hmm.
Once a wire hits the fraudulent party's bank, it's over, and there you can't retrieve that in many instances. But as I tell my team, the first hour is it's game time. It's like I don't care what you're working on, I don't care what you're doing. This becomes your priority. So we try to freeze that transaction as quickly as we can, which just means that we get out to all the parties and just notify everybody that, hey, this is what's happened and here's what we need to do, and try to get them to collectively pitch in for that as well. um, I definitely want to, kind of do a chronology of the
Hmm.
transaction so I can identify all the parties. We definitely notify the authorities because, especially if it's fraud, it's crime, and
Hmm.
they're committing a crime. So it's differentiating. Was there an error that happened that caused this problem or issue, or is this somebody's trying to commit fraud and we need to protect that? You know, but notifying the authorities, the police and such, you're definitely notifying your bank because they may be able to put a freeze on the
Hmm.
recipient's bank account. Now, not in all instances, banks have gotten a lot more protective in who they talk to and what they reveal. But if you tell them that, hey, we're a title company and this just happened, or we're a real estate broker and this just happened to my clients, they will they seem to listen to that a little bit more than somebody just calling and acting. But I also think that it's important to communicate with your clients and letting them know, because the client, they don't want the chaos, they want to be calmed. and
Hmm.
and I think that the more you communicate with them, the more you involve them to say, this is what we're doing, this is where we're acting, lead. I think it's
Hmm.
super important to show them that you're taking the lead on this, because they're not going to know what to do, and they're going to
Yeah.
lean on us anyway. So if we can jump in and take the lead, I think that's huge to the importance of what this is. So showing that we're calm, we're efficiently getting after this and trying to resolve the problem, I think that gives a sense of comfortability to the client as well. But it's so frustrating, and we've all seen it, right? I mean, we've all
Hmm.
been sadly involved or know somebody who has had this happen, and your heart just goes out to them when you're in it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to lightning round questions. So these are
Uh-oh.
just short. First thing that comes to your mind. What's the
Sure.
most you can't make this up title issue you've ever seen?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I can't make it up, so I won't. But realistically, we had, before the demanding of anything over $50,000 had to be a wire. We had a fraudulent check that was $500,000. That was a certified or a cashier's check,
Mhm.
passed on us for the closing by what was a straw buyer, and it passed through my hands, my bank's hands, the bank's back office, paid it all out and did everything, and then became the topic of me doing a couple speaking engagements about fraud to some bankers and things. This check, Tracy, was unbelievably well done. And the worst part of it is, when you called to confirm, a
Mhm.
person answered the phone and said, no, no, you have to deposit it this way. It's a cashier's check. There's not a tricky way to deposit it.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody answered the phone on a fraudulent check and knew this and acted as if nothing was odd about it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And they were up in Michigan. It was an out of state, but holy
Hmm.
cow, a $500,000 fraudulent check that was a cashier's check. And having somebody talk about it and say, no, your bank is just not depositing it right. And then getting on the phone with the bank to have a same conversation to
Yeah.
tell them how to deposit that check.
Oh my God.
It's like eating a Pop-Tart. You don't need instructions for it, right? Like
Right.
I don't need to read the how to do this. I know how
Yeah.
to deposit.
Well, so what is one myth about title insurance that drives you absolutely crazy?
That you don't need it.
Hmm.
That it's it's super expensive and the title companies are just getting rich off of it because if it's public record. If you were to Google First American and Fidelity to find out what their claims are and what their
Hmm.
loss is, they pay out a lot of claims. They pay out a lot of money. So it's not as lopsided. But again, it is insurance, and
Hmm.
insurance companies win. State Farm is big, and United Healthcare is big, and all these other ones. I mean, there are a bunch of people that never have to use it, but that's a golden problem. I would much rather be in the space of never having to use this, but knowing that I'm protected. It's like I said, it's insurance. It's in case something happens. And
Yeah.
when we talk about our industry happens to have things that can happen that are very expensive,
Yeah,
very costly.
absolutely. All right. My last one is the most overlooked step in a clean, drama free closing. And I'd love it from the real estate agent's perspective.
Most overlooked step from the
Hmm.
real estate agent's perspective. Um, I think, and this is not to stereotype or even call out the agents, but I think that it's uh, become a practice where they're conditioned to say, "I found them the house. You guys take it from here," and
Hmm.
there's no more interaction or even understanding of when we say, "Hey, there's a problem on this property," or your client has a federal tax lien, and did
Hmm.
they say anything to you about that? Um, and it is the oversight of just saying, well, okay, can we just waive that and get it done? Well, no, I mean these are big items. So I think it's the education too of the individual real estate brokers to understanding a little bit about title insurance and the risks that kind of are afforded
Hmm.
through this process that are we're trying to protect the clients from. So our snail's pace sometimes, or as visualized as, is us protecting the clients a little bit more. It's not just us standing, saying, "Hey, we don't want to do your deal." It's there's something going on. We're trying to follow the path, and we're not finding it yet. Can you help us out? So I think them understanding a little bit more about the industry of at least that part of the business, I think is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Drew, thanks so much for joining Real Trending. It was a pleasure having you on. And I see your Packers hat. I'm a Buffalo fan,
Uh
so
huh.
uh,
Well, we're in the Midwest, so we had a big game yesterday. It was Bears Packers game, and most of my
mhm.
office is Bear fans, so I had to let them know where I stood,
There you go.
or gloat a little bit. Either way.
Well, thanks, Drew.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. Appreciate you.